Yo guys, it's Sentinel here, and I'm back at it again with another Attack on Titan analysis with Gerjo and Sam. Again, this episode was a banger, back to back.
Mad.
Yeah, it was a sick episode.
Alright, so let's get into this.
Yeah.
It starts off with, well, it goes back to like a flashback with Grisha and Frida fighting in their Titan forms. And then you go back, and then after that, you go back to the scene in last episode with Zeke
Yeah, there's a lot of
and
overlap.
Grisha.
There's a lot of overlap in this season. But to be honest, I don't mind because I think it helps you remember because it flashes.
It gets you immersed. It gets you immersed.
Because it immerses you more than because some animes would be like on last week's episode on blah 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 blah. But this one, it kind of just immerses you and throws you straight in without like kind of pulling you out of what's going on. So I quite like how it starts each episode with like the end of the last episode.
Yeah, it also kind of it reminds you what happened last episode just by flashing you the end of it. You remember the whole of last episode. So then you can think about.
And then we go back to the convergence, and you basically see Zeke have an epiphany, but you're like, huh? If you could see future vision, like if the Attack Titan's abilities, like future vision or memories of the future, you can manipulate what Grisha could see, and like manipulate the whole events. And then everyone was stood silent, but we know what it is. And then he then said, like, Zeke asked him like, how long have you been seeing memories for? And then he said like ever since 4 years ago, which obviously we know is the point when he's kissed Historia's hand.
Yeah, so when he officially came into contact with her.
Yeah.
But then after that, Zeke tells Ymir to go to continue with his plan, which she initially goes to do, but then Eren is apparently not having it, and he
rips out his own hand.
He begins to pull his chains and tears his thumbs off.
Termination.
And he runs over to her. Grabs her, or something, like that. And then we go into her memory. So this is her past.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is Eren seeing her past or if this is just a flashback of what happened to her.
Yeah.
But so we initially start with her inside of what I can only assume is her birth village, where she was initially born.
Yeah.
And something to note, which becomes slightly more important later on in the episode, everybody's eyes are the same as how Historia's look when she's in the convergence. Not Historia, sorry. How Ymir's eyes look when she's in the convergence. So you can't see her actual eyes, and they're just kind of just like shrouded. But that becomes important later. So
we see her village get pillaged by well, we now know it's Eldians, early Eldians.
The very original Eldian tribe. So this is like the very start. This is 2,000 years ago. So this is the very start. Is like the original Eldian tribe, which they're still at war with Marley. So this has been a long running feud.
Yeah.
But so Ymir.
She gets captured.
What we believe is she gets her tongue cut out so that she can't speak, because she's a slave, basically. She gets taken as a slave, and they all get their tongues cut out. So the only person that can speak is essentially the king.
Yeah, and
It's
because
kind of
originally we thought it was a style choice, because originally we were like, why didn't no one speaking? And then we rewatched it. We saw like there's a scene of showing someone getting their tongue cut off. Yeah, so it's like quite nice, like, because it's like symbolic of like, oh, he has the voice, he's in control. But at the same time, it's more like this genuinely happens.
Only the king can speak, type of thing. Like the slaves cannot speak to the king or whatever, or anyone really. But that's kind of like sort of how it was. So she was a slave. She let some. Well, to be fair, so she was accused of letting some pigs free, which it may have been her, but it also may not have been her.
We got to a scene of the king saying who let the pigs free, and he says if, like, to a group of them, he says if no one tells me, I'll gouge all one of your eyes out, because you only need one eye to be a slave. And they kind of it shows them all pointing at Ymir. We believe that
we don't actually know if it is actually her. It could have been her, but it's sort of implied that she sort of got thrown under the bus because she was like the only kid there, I assume.
Like took the
from what I saw anyway.
Yeah. Because when he asks her and he looks and like, was it you? And she looks back at them and they kind of goes like, and then kind of nods with like I didn't really do this, so I'm gonna take it. So she's like quite a genuinely good person.
It's it goes back to what a little thing that we forgot to mention was there was a short scene of when it was Historia and Frida reading the book, and Frida says, "Oh, you want to be like her? She's kind. She helps everyone." Blah blah blah. I think that's sort of this is what this is supposed to represent: is she took the blame even though it wasn't her. But
next we see her getting, the king goes, "Oh, I'll let you free." The next thing we see her being chased down, hunted down. That's kind of her punishment, and she crawls into this tree, which we believe is kind of representative of the tree of life. And we see this spine thing we've never seen before attached to her.
Yeah.
Transform her into the original Titan.
I don't know if I said this on camera or not, but I had this theory for quite a while that subjects of Ymir they're not like cursed, rather than they have a sort of like a hereditary disease or a parasite that causes them to be how they are. I think this is slightly lays a bit more credence to that possibility, because it doesn't look like, you know, like a fucking curse or a god or whatever. It looks like a parasite. It's like a spinal cord, like a weird like yellow spine, not yellow, like sort of clear and blue spine. It looks like a parasite, and it attaches to Ymir, and then
Ymir's spine.
Yeah, and then she turns into a Titan, which again it lays credence to the possibility that this creature, whatever it is like a
parasite. It's like a disease, a parasite, like it's infected, and this kind of adds credence when later on we see like the mid-credits thing or like the mid-title thing, and it kind of we translated the text and what it says about it, and it kind of says that it's a parasite.
Is it a god or is it a parasite? Like they don't really know. They don't really
it says
know
a
still.
pathogen or god. I think Isayama or at least for now, it's sort of keeping it ambiguous.
Yeah,
So-
but they may later go into it that it was like a parasite or something.
Yeah, moving on quickly from that, we see Ymir in her Titan form, like performing loads of different acts. As later on, we kind of like it kind of cuts quite quickly through this thing. We see her transform, and then instantly we see her commit loads of different acts as the Titan, and then it cuts to her much older, with the king speaking to her, saying like, "Thank you for doing this, blah 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 blah."
Yeah, thank you for building our like walls and stuff. Thank you for
stuff like that.
No. He doesn't thank her. He just says, "You've done well, my slave."
Well, yeah,
That's what he
yeah,
says.
yeah. He doesn't thank her.
I mean,
he's
saying
just like,
done well is kind of just
he's sort of like, good rewards for being obedient, sort of in a sense, like not necessarily congratulating her, just like well done.
The closest thing that to a well done that you could get for being a slave.
Yeah, probably. But then he says something that is on crud, which is basically, your reward is you get to bear my children, which is like, I don't think she was like,
tapped. But
She doesn't. Yeah.
But anyway, it's a very reminiscent. It's actually it's very reminiscent of Historia. Like you see the scene of her sitting pregnant, and it's like literally tit for tat the exact scene, but just changed Ymir with Historia. That's the same thing. So it's like, you know, it's kind of like a similar thing where it's like maybe Historia sort of she's going down this same path of like she's a slave to the people now, in a sense.
Yeah, ironically, she sort of like earlier in season 3, she sort of denoted that path. She'd say, "I'm not going to be the good girl anymore," and now she's going exactly the same route as Ymir. But anyway, moving on from that, we just see like a bunch of like flashes with, her children being birthed and stuff. Yeah, and then
she goes to war again.
Yeah, and you see her like transforming like quite a few times, and then you see like this like celebration, I guess. I don't know what it is. Like you see the king like sitting on the throne, and you see a bunch of like army
I think
men.
what it is because it was post battle. I think it was like we defeated the Malayan Empire from wherever. That was like the celebration of it. So Ymir is walking down this like aisle she's flanked by like a bunch of soldiers. They're on either side, and she's walking down this aisle, and the king is being like, he's getting his armor put on by a bunch of women, which I think is supposed to show that like Ymir was only like a means to an end, She was never actually. She never held any importance in his life.
Yeah.
Which
I mean, we later find that out with one of the soldiers like throws a spear, aiming at the king,
yeah,
and she takes the hit for it. And then Ymir sort of looks at the king, sort of like wanting approval, like
Just says,
seeking
"Get
approval
up."
from him.
He just
And then
says,
she-
"Get
yeah.
up. I know that won't kill you," basically.
that's what I was gonna say. I think this scene is that scene with them, like the women and her realizing that she's not important, is
Yeah.
reason she chose to die as opposed to just, I don't know, turning into a titan or whatever and becoming back alive.
Because you sort of like, she sort of says like, what's the point? Like,
so she chose in that moment to do something of her own free will and just die.
yeah.
We're also saying this kind of leads to the reason that the Titan holders only survive for a certain amount of time. This was kind of the start of it because she decides to die after, I believe, how many years is it again?
It's 13 years.
It could have been 13 years after she got her abilities. It could have been that she died, and that's Ymir's curse with Titan holders.
Yeah. Next, we come to one of the most clapped things ever, where the king immediately goes to the children of Ymir and says, "Come on, kids, eat your mum's dead body so you can gain Titan powers."
Yeah, and we also learned the children's name is
we learned
Rose and not Wall, Rose, Cena, and Maria, which are the walls of
it's the three walls,
Paradise Island.
which is now why we know that why the priests were so adamant about like desecration of the walls, because
they held it as holy, which obviously in a sense they're the sons of, well, not the sons, but daughters of the goddesses.
Well, the daughters of God. It's basically this is their universe's version of God.
Yeah.
Mirrors. And what after they've eaten her flesh, what we can only assume is that the Titan abilities were broken down into 3 each, and then they had 3 kids each. Then they all ate their bodies, and then that breaks it down into 9 Titan abilities.
Yeah.
And then they all had kids, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
That was
you see it flashes back to like Fritz and like telling his children to never die, carry on the thing, and as he continues to talk, it flashes back to Eren cutting off the flashback, like him saying,
well, just before that, we get to Ymir in the Convergence as a young girl again, and she's sort of looking at, so you have the trunk of the tree, and then you have the different branches coming in. These are the lives of all the different subjects.
We see them spreading as more.
Keep splitting as.
And what we also see is Ymir hand building, I'm assuming, every single colossal titan that had to be in the walls by hand, which can only assume that because time runs differently in the Convergence, like fucking, what was it? What is that film? Oh, the one with the dreams and like time like runs.
Inception.
Yeah, that it's like it's kind of like Inception, because like 10 years in the Convergence point could be like fucking 5 seconds outside.
Yeah.
So she's been in there for her own time and like for like a million fucking years, just hand building colossal titans. It's kind of peak. But yes, then we do flash to Eren cutting off the dream, which is why I was saying it may be that Eren was actually seeing her memories by grabbing a hold of her, because he sort of sees it and he's like, stop! I'm gonna end this that happened to you. I'm gonna end the world that wronged you so much. But he doesn't. He doesn't tell her. He gives her a choice. As opposed to Zeke, who's ordering her, and he is very specific wording. He says, "I order you to do whatever it was."
He's like, "You have to listen to me. I'm of royal blood." Yeah. And then Eren's like,
"Eren is giving her a choice."
He's like, "You're not a god. You're not like a devil either. You're just a human. You're not like
you're not a slave or a what was it like? You're not a slave or a god. You're just human." But so Eren basically is attempting to convince her because as opposed to ordering her, he's attempting to convince her to join his side, which I can only assume she does, because as I was saying previously, with the eyes, they're initially like shrouded, you can't see their eyes, but we get a shot of his face and you can see her eyes, and she's very angry, obviously, and she's
Yeah.
crying.
Same expression as Eren had, like when he kissed Historia's hand.
Yeah.
Like,
And
also,
then
right
we-
before that, Eren sort of says, like, you've been waiting, haven't you? Like, you've been signaling to me.
Yeah.
For someone for 2,000 years, which, if you
first
remember the
episode.
episode, is to you 2,000 years later. At first, we thought it was like Eren's Titan abilities. But obviously, that didn't make sense because he wasn't a Titan shifter then.
Yeah. So now we know.
And now
it
we
was
know
Ymir
it's because it's Ymir. Because Ymir, obviously,
calling to him.
she's connected to all like the Eldians.
As we get in
she
the
was
first
signaling.
episode, yeah, that was Ymir
Yeah.
signaling Eren, which is pretty cool because it's kind of like we was talking about this. It's kind of like the whole idea of Eren being the center has now kind of gone to Ymir being like the center and like vice versa.
Yeah, that's what I was actually going to say. So it was moreover, Ymir was the center and Eren
then
was the
now
means.
Eren's
Yeah, that's what I
But
meant,
now with the episode name specifically is called what was it? From You 2,000 years ago.
Yeah.
It's almost
Yeah.
like it's shifted, and now Eren has become
Mm.
the center. Eren is now like the new.
This gets reinforced later on when I believe Ymir then passes on.
Yeah.
You see the final thing.
Fine
that
thing
from the
comes from
Yeah.
Eren's own body to his head.
Yeah.
Fucking grabs him, and then he.
You also see it grab Zeke, so I'm assume Eren's like absorbed Zeke or something.
Yeah,
like-
or he fucking kidnapped him as well. Like,
Yeah.
think about it. Do you guys remember the robots from Pacific Rim?
yeah.
Like, they're so big. You need two people.
But only one has real control.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in this sense, it's like you need the second brain, but only Eren. Eren is control of the Titan, but Zeke is
Yeah.
there also. I don't think
And
he's
then-
dead. I doubt Zeke is actually dead or
And this
been
is-
absorbed.
No, I don't think he's dead.
This explains why later on, or right after that, we're able to. Because then we cut back to the prison with Armin and Mikasa and all that, and we see the
Yeah,
start
you
of the
see-
rumbling.
Yeah, you see all the walls breaking down. You see all the colossal titans.
Side note: the coldest music.
The coldest.
Yeah. So
And the
sick.
coldest
It
animation.
sounds
to be
like
fair.
a Dark Souls fucking boss.
Yeah,
theme,
like
bro.
fucking. it's so good, but yeah. So the rumbling begins as the walls all collapse around everyone. The colossal titans sort of like come alive, and they begin walking. They begin all walking down towards the sea.
And then we cut to Armin, and he's like, "We've won." But the way he says it is so
Yeah,
like,
it's like
Yeah.
he thinks only the outer wall is being destroyed, but then
And then he later notices,
He
like,
knows the wall.
hold on, there's two. Why is he using all the rest of the walls? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and yeah.
And then you cut to Eren, like
that's
talking to them.
so
Eren
cold.
speaks to
through
all
the-
of the subjects of Ymir
And-
using
In
it.
his, in his new form, we see his new form as well. So like this massive, he's like a bony skeleton, kind of like Ymir is
Yeah.
in the first bit. We just
a lot
cut
bigger.
him speaking. Yeah, a lot bigger. But yeah, we
Yeah.
cut to him speaking to everyone, all of them, and them just looking like, what the fuck is going on? It's very cool. And
Yeah.
his voice acting at this point also is,
Yeah.
it's just so cold.
Sublime, bro. Sick.
It's so cold.
He
But
was
yeah.
basically saying, like, he was basically explaining his like end goal. He said, the world declared war on Paradise Island. He rejects the wish of like Paradise Island and the rest of the subjects of Ymir dying. He's like, fuck that. So he decides the plausible solution to that is to destroy the rest of the world.
Yeah, just kill
With the
everyone.
rumbling.
Be done with it all. Just kill everyone.
Oh, man. Yeah, we see his eyes, and we see there's a moment where it's like animated, and it cuts to his face as the Titan, and that
Yeah.
moment is so.
It's like you have to ask yourself: is he the hero in this situation, or is this
Oh,
fucking
like,
the
honestly,
actual
yeah.
devil? Like,
if you were to show this out of context to anyone who didn't watch the show, you'd be like, yeah, that's the villain.
yeah, that's the villain of the show, and then fucking Zeke is the hero or something. Because you
Yeah.
see like some of the scenes with Zeke and Eren, but yeah. That's pretty much it. This episode has dragged on a
it was
little bit longer
Very
than
amazing episode, but
very good
yeah.
episode. Who cares if it dragged on longer? This was a good ass episode.
Peace.
Bye.
In a bit. Very cool.